You didn't do you didn't really do any club stuff, but you are doing like research stuff, right?
Yeah.
Was it with Ada or
No, Ada doesn't do research at all.
Okay.
He's a teaching professor.
Good man. So
dedicated to
what is
craft.
your research on?
So my research is on algorithmic fairness and machine learning. So basically, like the best way to describe it is if you have a model that discriminates in some dimension, you want to eliminate that. For example, if you like disproportionately predict false positives for black people in like the case of getting a loan, that's bad, right? So the idea of like fairness is to have like one sort of notion of this. So one example is like equality of false positive rates, true positive rates, etc., or like equality of like the good outcome across different like categories, right? And so the idea is just like a bunch of different optimizers and things. And so this was like the start of fairness in ML. This branched off to different dimensions. So fairness is one, and then there's explainability, right? How close can you? This is like what GDPR does, right? Like the one thing good about GDPR is called the right to explanation. If you're subject to a decision made by an algorithm, to what extent can you ask how that decision was made, right? Because if you're throwing like all of our data into a neural net that predicts whether or not we get into college, who cares? What if it's just like 1,000% weight to are you Nicaraguan? Like 0% weight to your grades.
Are you Indo?
Yeah, right? And it's like if you are instant admit, right? That's bad. But we can't like, you can't I don't know what the term is, but it's like you can't like look into the neural net yet. We don't have the capability to do that. So what you do is you can have like tests. Say you have Elon and like a copy of Elon, but you change his race. Does the like outcome change? If it does, then it's bad. Right? That's called counterfactual fairness because the clone is like counterfactually true. Right? So that's like another dimension. Then there's transparency, right? All of the explainability stuff can like a layperson understand it. That's there. And then there's robustness. If in 20 years Elon applies again, will he have the same admissions decision? Right? So if he does, then it's robust. If he doesn't, then he might not. And there's like distribution shift, right? The data switches over time. You have like as you increase, Asian applications just like skyrocket, right? So you have to account for that. So there's fairness, explainability, transparency, robustness, and then all of this is under the blanket of trust. Trust in AI. So that's what like I'll be working on at IBM. It's called like it's on the trustworthy AI team. And so my research was the way it started was freshman year. I like didn't have an internship. I was very sad. So I applied to this fellowship at Princeton where they set you up with the government agency. So I went to the CFPB, which is it's not the FCC, CFPB.
CFPB? Was I supposed to learn this in my security lecture?
No, it's the government. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Right? So it's just like the agency in the US that deals with finance.
FCC.
Right? Yeah. So I went to the AIML team, which was one guy. One dude. Right? So he was like, you're my guy. Anytime I'm like needing a technical term, you tell me what it is.
You my guy.
Yeah? So that's how I got into fairness. He was like, they were investigating I think I can say this. It's not proprietary, but like they were investigating a company for like their algorithm being accused of being discriminatory. And in order to do so, you need like fairness tools, right? So he's like, look into these fairness tools, tell me how I can use them. They're like Python packages, and like let me know how to tell these bankers that have no idea what Python is, right? So I did that, and then while I was there, I was like, dude, you have so much free time during internships, right?
Yeah.
It's like nothing like classes, right? So during the first 2 hours that I do that, and then the rest of the time, fairness started like 20 years ago. So I was reading like a paper a day, every day on fairness. And so by the end of it, I like wrote this like 30-page summary or like literature review survey paper thing just to collect all the information I've learned.
Wow.
So I did that, and that's when after the internship, I like reached out to all the professors at CMU who do fairness, and I was like, here's what I've done. This is what I want to do. Are you doing something related, right?
Wow.
So I did that, and oh by the way, at the CFPB, there's like the person in charge is called a director, right? So she was on a call with all the interns, right? And so she was like. She was talking and she was like, anyone have a question? And everyone's scared. So I just like unmute and I'm like, why don't you have more AI people in this freaking US government agency, right? And she was like, I went to school for CS.
Wow.
She was like, she literally said, I coded in assembly. Like the director of an agency said this, right?
Damn, bro.
I was shocked. I was literally like, I had just taken 213, right? So I was like, wow, I know what assembly is. Thank God I got this joke, right? And so she's laughing and everything. She's like, that is one of the like pitfalls of the U.S. government. We're always late to the jump, right? Like everywhere they're bringing in technology. Like freaking GDPR is the epitome of that, right? We don't even have a law like that yet. So
okay, wait. Time out for a second. Both of you made the mistake. It's pronounced epitome. Epitome.
Compared to what?
But it ends in E.
The word is pronounced epitome.
Really?
Yes.
What were
E-P-I-T-O-M-E.
Yes. E-P-I-T-O-M-E.
Oh, it's
epitome?
epitome?
Yeah.
It's not epitome.
It's epitome.
There's no way. There's no freaking way. Wait, where's my phone?
The only reason I brought it up is because both of you made the mistake today.
Epitome? Pronunciation.
Fact check. Live fact checking.
Dude, there's
live
no way.
debugging.
There's no way. Alright.
Intro to ML.
Oh shit, he's right.
No.
Epitome.
Ah!
Fuck.
Devon! You heard it here first, dude.
No, we're special. We're gonna say it.
We're just wrong.
Oh my god, I just said epitome. No! No!
Okay, anyway, sorry to ruin the flow.
Yeah, so that is the epitome. Yeah, right? That is the United States government in a nutshell. So we did that, right? Email everyone at CMU. This is sophomore fall. So somehow, all the people in fairness, of the 100 of them in the world, 20 of them work at CMU, right? So they actually started a fairness initiative at CMU this semester, right? So I reach out, and one person is like, hey, I'm doing this work. I don't really have anything, but if you want to start a project, you come up with an idea, and I'd be down to mentor you. So I'm out here, I just helped all these bankers learn about these tools, right? So I was like, what if I can get industry practitioners to use these tools and see if they can? So we do that. This goes on until this May is when, no, this April, sorry, is when we finished. A couple of weeks ago is when we got the decision that I'm going to Seoul, North Korea. That was a project though.
Okay.
That was a project that got accepted. So it's it's a user study of people coming in. We give them a problem, specify the fairness issue, give them a tool, give them an hour, see if they can use the tool, and moreover, how do they formulate the problem to solve the issue, right? And so what we realize is academia, industry, there's it doesn't combine, right? Someone defines something doesn't mean someone can use it in industry. The coolest thing was we had this data scientist, this machine learning engineer from Sweden, and she was your race is correlated with your zip code, right? In Sweden, apparently. They literally have racial neighborhoods. Yes. Yeah. So she was like, you cannot predict for that. That's a double proxy in your machine learning thing. So, right? Whereas in the United States, having one is fine as long as you don't have two. You can't have either in the model in Sweden. So that's substantively different. And your US-based tool can't account for that, right? So these are the kind of things we got. I think that's why our paper got accepted, because we had findings like that, right? So we had people from UK, Africa, India, I think one China, a bunch of US obviously, just industry people, right? So I was talking to all these people, looking at them, great, right? That's project number one. Project number two was in the last summer, 2 summers ago, I was I also didn't have an internship, and I did. A side note, I refused to do leak code. I've done zero leak code in my life.
Respect.
I'm gonna problem.
Good man.
I was I will spend my time doing something I'm passionate about. That'll help me.
My man.
Respect.
Yes.
Tens of thousands. Respect. Yes, applause for that.
Bro, shout out for research positions. No tech interviews. Behavioral. Tell me about your research. Why would you be a good fit? That's it.
There we go.
Right? So that's what I did. So I emailed the same list of professors who I emailed in the fall. I was like, hey, you're still free? And they're like, yeah, I'm free for the summer. So I did another project where, this is so whack. I was supervising a team of 3 PhD students. It was my tool. I built a tool in Python to evaluate the effectiveness of fairness algorithms. So I called it a sandbox, but it's you have a data set, pick a data set. I coded the functionality to inject bias into the data set. So have way more of this kind of person in the data set. Have way less of this person, right? Have way more of these people have bad outcomes instead of good, right? Inject bias, have a data set, or generate synthetic data, choose any machine learning algorithm, choose any fairness algorithm, and see what happens, right? So I made that pipeline, and that's a tool, right? So we built that tool, and damn, if that wasn't some of the most learning-based stuff I've ever seen, I learned the difference between thinking about something in your head, explaining it to someone, and explaining it to people who are supposed to be ahead of you in their field, right? These people were looking to me to tell them what to do, and I was I don't know. You're a 5th year PhD. I thought we were doing this together. They were just waiting for me to tell them what to do, right? So it's not enough for me to know what to do. I have to also know how to tell them what parts they can help with.
Wow.
You know?
Mhm.
So I was simultaneously like learning that part of it. And so when I was going through it, I like realized talking like professionally is so hard. Because I would like text them, I would work on this on Saturday and Sunday, and I'd be like, hey, can you do this, right? And this girl she's a 5th year PhD in ML. She like messaged the professor, the mentor, and she was like, Manish is being very unprofessional with me. This is like, these are very like unbusiness-like communications. And so I had to have a conversation where I learned like the difference between like talking to your friend about work, like homework, and talking to someone you're working with in a professional setting. Because apparently like 9 to 5 means 9 to 5. Right? That just doesn't exist at CMU because it's like 24/7, right?
Right.
So I learned that like step back, right? And bird's eye view. Here's what we're doing, and like here's how I can say what she needs to do in a respectful manner, right? So I learned that. It's probably like as valuable as the coding I did because realistically, like you've done Python, right?
Yeah.
It's literally import, run, right? Thank the Lord for Python, bro. I swear to God, thank the Lord for AI, bro. If it wasn't for AI, like. If I don't work in a job with Python, I'm quitting. And it's true, like,
Lots of AI for that.
yeah, if you're an AI, what the hell are you doing? Did Java neural nets? I don't think so. Our 418 project, C++ neural net. Shit. So anyway, right, we're doing this project, and all the while, it's like pretty interesting because I never knew, like, the professor tells me something theoretical, and I have to code it, right? But the idea that she tells me is in this random paper that, like, they're proving it for the first time. So like something they prove in theory, like the setting doesn't hold in practice, right? So you need to like, you make a contrived setting within the code, right? So this is all that we would work on. We spent an entire semester and a half implementing an idea for one paper. And it was like, so it's called a proof of concept research paper, right? Like you have an idea and you just like do a proof, it works, right? That's what we spent it on. And the whole idea of the paper is that you can of the project is that you can take any idea and like put it through this pipeline and it'll tell you stuff. So that's what we did. Unfortunately, that paper was not accepted. Mm-hmm. So I had no hard feelings. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. But the professors and PhDs are like tilted, right? So they like sent an appeal got rejected. Now they're applying to like different conferences, right? And so I was like, damn, they don't take rejections lightly, dude. This is crazy. So after learning all that, I was like, okay, I'm done with like CMU-based stuff. I want to explore, right? So luckily, the toolkits I was working with were managed by IBM and Microsoft. So I was like having, this is the funniest thing. Microsoft's tool is maintained on Discord. I'm still in the Discord server. They have weekly calls on Discord, right? Because they like, we're hip. Right?
They bought Discord, didn't they?
Huh? Yeah.
That's
okay.
it.
They bought Discord?
Microsoft?
I think so, right?
I think so.
I thought they were just talking about it.
I thought that would have been convenient.
Maybe not. I thought they did. They did not. In talks. Okay. They didn't actually buy it. Never mind. I thought they did, but I guess it makes sense that they did.
Yeah, so anyway.
That's
like,
still funny.
Yeah, these guys just like on Discord, right? So I would talk to them. They're like Microsoft engineers, right? So I would talk to them, and that's how like all the communication started. Because it's such a small field, the professors I knew like started the field essentially at CMU, right? So they knew everybody. So I was talking to like people in IBM, and like IBM, this is why I like started the Cambridge idea. Because they had sent like, here are some people in Africa, India, and Cambridge where you can talk to about this stuff. And so I would talk to them. I talked to people in Google. I still think the coolest thing I've done to date is this one conversation with this person in India who wrote this paper saying why ML in the western part of the world is different from the eastern. Because of like the different axes, they should call it the axes of discrimination that are in like India and China, for example. Which is why you like, no matter what, you can't copy paste a model from the United States into these places. Because like there's no concept of not only caste, but like village, right? Like your village being tied to your identity in India, right? That's like a very, very niche thing. And almost all China and India, but like most countries that have highly concentrated people that are like non-developed in the sense they don't know computer technology, it's like essentially like it's like the largest potential possible in the world, right? So the point of this was to like allow someone to take this idea. She like studied people in India for like a couple of years from Google with a team of 10 people, and the idea was how can we add more fair models for the people in India? Because once you have predictive power for the models in India, you can generalize very easily, right? It's like instead of going from easy to hard, you go from hard to easy, right? So this is like kind of what I want to work on as like my ideal dream job would be finding a way to like democratize technology for the people in India, because they're just like the people in the this is how Indian school systems, like some of them usually work. The top ones, right? You have your like pay to get in seats, but you also have your seats that are reserved for like the top people in every village. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a couple of students in each village that are just top ranked, like top of the top, so they like have to keep fighting their way to get their seat. This is what my dad did essentially, right? But there's so many more kids that could have been at the top seat. They just like were a little bit poorer than the second poorest person in their village, right? So if you can find a way to like identify these people in a non-biased and like efficient manner, you could tap so much more of like the intellectual power of any country that has these amounts of people. China, India, like anywhere, right? And I remember, like, there's like a sitcom bit one time. It's like, the reason the United States women's national team is so good at soccer is because half the women are under curtains in the world, right? Like, they're freaking, like, hijabbed up, right? So if you can take advantage of all this potential that's just there for you, and we have the tools to do it, we just don't have the data or, like, the intricate knowledge of how to do it, then you have so much more ability and just, like, compute power, essentially, right? Because instead of, like, internet farms, you have, like, AI farms. And that's like very powerful, right? So my job, my dream goal would be to somehow find a way to like move my idea of like fairness into these places in India and just like set up shop there. Google has an office in Bangalore in India. It's like it's like the equivalent of Silicon Valley in India. Right? IBM is setting one up. So that's like those are my thoughts. So I was talking to these people about those ideas, and along the lines, I've like met with other companies completely out of research. So for example, Uber wants to do fairness because when they do self-driving cars, they want there to be like, if you're going to run over a white person or a black person, does it matter on their race? No, right? It should matter on like how to minimize damage, right? So that's there. For some reason, 2 Sigma wants to do data equality. I have no idea why. Stripe wants to do responsible AI. Like the good thing is, anytime someone wants to do this, it means they've been like investigated for it, right? So it's like, it's always after the fact, right? So the fact that they're starting these teams, at least now, it's like better late than never, right? So the Stripe has responsible AI, 2 Sigma, Uber, Amazon starting an AI team and responsible AI. So like, thank God. And my hope is like I've gotten ahead of the curve a little bit, so I can like I know the people, so I can just like hop in and start making a change,
job
right?
security.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah. And I like,
wow.
I don't know if it's like foresight or luck, just to like I stuck with it, dude. I was like, my dad was like, what if this like fairness just goes away? And I was like, there's no chance, no shot, right? If we keep doing AI, someone's gonna keep questioning
in this
right?
century too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I mean, there's
exactly. Yeah. So like,
It's so impressive.
just like
I don't know. Wow.
My friends were like, dude, you're retarded. Like, just freaking hop on LeetCode. Like,
world. No.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
I have never so vehemently agreed with everything somebody has said.
That is so
story.
Cool. That is so cool.
Yeah.
You are so impressive.
No. The people who do this are crazy. I want to be one of those people. Yeah.
I think you are going to become one of those people.
It's so strange too.
There,
because like in high school, I never had a passion for anything. I was just like, pretty much almost really good at most things, right? Like without like sounding cocky. Like, I was like decently athletic. I'm tall. Like I was like pretty smart, and like, I wasn't in science Olympiads, but like in my humanities classes, I was like very good at writing essays, right? Took AP CSA twice, got a 4 both times. Thought I was the world's dumbest computer scientist, right? Like I was strictly against computer science. Like still to this day, it takes me probably twice as long on average to like come up with a solution, right? Without going to office hours. It's like very slow for me to get that like thing that just solves a problem, right? So I thought, well, I do really enjoy thinking about things, but I really like the money's in CS, right? So if I come to CMU, can I supplement my like knowledge of that's why I transitioned, right? Philosophy to ethics to fairness in AI.
Mm-hmm.
That was the plan. So that's like the long short story.
A beautiful story. Really.
Yeah. What an origin story. I absolutely love it.
Now just go become a quant, dude.
Never.
It's where the money is, yeah.
Never. Because at this point, it's like you're fighting over like little bits of money.
Dude, what a mantra, bruh. No LeetCode.
Ooh. I'm a bad influence. I tell all my freshman friends, don't LeetCode, do research.
Don't LeetCode, do research.
Because research is not for everyone, right?
Yeah.
If you're stuck in a lab under some PhD doing lit review stuff, you're done. So,
yeah.
it's hit or miss, but if you hit it, damn.
That's true.